What is what I do, and how is it directly linked to you, and how is it directly linked to help you? That is the question that I deem to ask in this podcast, and I go on a couple of rants, and I hope you add some value to you. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Hey guys, I hope we're doing alright, and today I want to talk to everyone, have a conversation about why I'm doing what I'm doing, and who do I think it will help, and who's it for, and how will it benefit people. And I had a very fascinating conversation with this person today at lunch. Now that this person, he's got like a dyslexic podcast, and I want to get to know him a bit more, get to know what he's doing and the impact he's having in this sort of community, because I want to learn from him. And so I messaged him a little while back. I was like, okay, we can have a little chat at this time. So he gave the time, we had a chat. And this was like a couple of weeks ago, and we had a chat today. I thought it was yesterday. I called him up yesterday. He's like, it's today. I was like, okay. So I spoke to him today, and my answer is quite long. It's like an hour, or it's like 45 minutes if you discount. My beard's getting long, but if you discount the time, it's like an hour, 45 minutes, sorry. And so I was talking for at least 45 minutes, full-on conversation, a little bit about my story, a little bit about his story, and about everything. And it was so fascinating. And like what we talked about was a bit about why we're doing it. Of course, we're passionate about helping people with dyslexia, but who is it that we're helping, and who is it that can benefit from this conversation? And I really want to make this video, and I really want to talk to you about this because, well, I think it'll be really valuable to you, and also really valuable to me to talk about it and really like brainstorm and get what's in my head out. Because oftentimes we can, have great advice for something, especially with dyslexics. We think all the time, oh, this is how it works. This makes total sense. But we have great advice that we can often tell a lot of people our great advice. But it's not the advice counts, but it's who we're giving that advice to that counts equally as much. It's who we're giving that advice to. Because if we're giving that advice on how to lose weight to someone who's lost weight and who's fit, that advice wouldn't help. If you're giving advice to a person who's overweight, like a person who's overweight but doesn't want to lose weight and has no intention of losing weight, that advice won't help. The advice that would help is how you can be happy, or like advice would help about how you can motivate yourself to lose weight, or basically if you're overweight, of how you can sustain that and how it doesn't have negative impacts later in life. And it's sort of, you have to make sure that the advice you're giving is right for the sort of person that you want to give it to. And I've been thinking about that a lot with my content. I'm posting a lot of videos out here, I'm doing a lot of podcasts about who is this for. And I think this question is quite hard in like the dyslexia industry to talk about, because like, for example, with me, like I can explain it quite clearly as this. What I talk about is information and stuff. Basically, it's like the personal development for dyslexia. Personal development for dyslexia, and that's the most clear and the most distinct way I can say it for you to understand it. And I think it makes total sense now when I say it. It's personal development for dyslexia. That's all I do. That's kind of how I began to talk, because my whole journey involves around me making massive progress when I understood about personal development, when I understood about taking responsibility of my life and exactly how to do that. And with me understanding that, that's when I made most of change. So that's my story, and this is what I know down deep to my soul, that this will have a big impact out there, because I know it's needed. Because I know with the information and with the certain strategies that I've learned, anyone can have the transformation as well. Anyone. I'm not a unique case. And for me to get that message across, I think people have to understand that they have to realise what it is, because oftentimes at a time there's loads of there's people out there, you may not know them, but there's a lot of people out there talking about dyslexia, and a lot of people do different things. Like some people talk about dyslexia just like the diagnosis of dyslexia, what is the science behind dyslexia. A lot of people talk dyslexia about the problems of dyslexia and how negative society is with the schooling, with the governments, with this, how everything's set against you to fight against you. Other people talk about the strengths of dyslexia, about how it's a strength. Other people talk about in work, about this is work, you mean you're in work and these are the things you can do, either legally or personally, to help yourself the most. And all these different things. I was like, well, why do I fit in it? Why do I fit in this little circle? And I suppose I fit in here in the personal development world, and I talk about conquering dyslexia. I don't mean this like curing dyslexia, like a fix of dyslexia, but I mean conquering dyslexia. You take this thing that you can maybe seem as a negative and actually use it as an advantage of your life, and not only use dyslexia advantage of your life, but make your life so much more better and make dyslexia a reason for a great life. And I think it's so cool in that, and I'm so passionate about this. But how can we relay this so it will be informative, and so it will help you as yourself, is by thinking like this. Life is complex. Life isn't simple. And whether you listen to this, whether or not, we all spend time to do things, don't we? We all spend time doing things, and all of us have a certain amount of time, don't we? We have all of us 24 hours in a day. Like, you mean 24 hours a day, you think how people are so successful get all this done. But they get all that done in the same 24 hours as you have. And guess what? They're human beings just like you. And a lot of them are dyslexic just like you. And you can do your 24 hours with what you want. But if you listen to this now, obviously you are, because you're hearing this. You've decided to spend this time listening to this, whether you're driving a car, whether you're doing whatever you're doing. You decide to spend some time listening to me talking about this. And I want to kind of do a little, little reverse on yourself, thinking, why did you decide to listen to this? What was the reason, or what was the motivation for you to listen to this? What did you want to get out of this? Well, it could be to help myself. I've got dyslexia, I'm dealing with challenges. It could be to help my son, my daughter, but they've got challenges. It could be because I'm an educated person. In the dyslexic field, I want to learn more about this. But I want to go a bit deeper, thinking, okay, you want to know more about this. You're this person, this situation. What specifically do you want to solve? What specifically do you want to solve? And I know with me, I can get fascinated about different areas. Fascinated about, okay, what is actually dyslexia? Okay, how is the best way to help a dyslexic in the work environment? How is the best way to help a dyslexic in school? How is the best way to help a dyslexic in life? And what are the core beliefs and all these sort of things. And I get really passionate about one single subject, and I would get an audiobook and I'd listen to some videos about mind mapping. I'd like, oh, this is so cool. I'd get a course on mind mapping. I would join certain communities and I'd be involved in it. And that's what you mean. I get really excited. I get involved in that one specific thing. So I can learn that and I can move on. But this is areas that we sort of kind of master, because I've learned a lot about dyslexia, a hell of a lot, and about people, but I want to carry on learning. I want to get to the point of mastery, where I'm very, very competent in the term of dyslexia, and very, very competent in term of coaching people and human dynamics and why people do what they do. I feel I have certain skills in the area, but I want more. And so these are my personal areas of what I want to become an expert in, and you mean in that, but it all dependent on you. And so, because, for example, most of you listening to this will be like, well, I just want to learn about dyslexia. I'm just in this situation now, and I want to learn more, I want to grow more. And the best piece of advice I'm thinking, and the best piece of advice I would give, is that this is where you are, and pick a specific thing you want to improve. You know what I mean? I want to learn more about this. I was for example, if you don't know a lot about dyslexia, I'll learn more about dyslexia. Then you learn there's individual niches, individual things to go. Okay, there's all these different things I want to learn about. Okay, more specific about one. And this podcast, Conquering Dyslexia podcast, is about the personal development of yourself. The personal development of yourself. And how this will apply if you're a parent and have kids. it will be able to help you, like your kid. You'll be able to help you to teach your kid how to improve. Basically, basic words. Learn how life works. How you could improve yourself. How you can teach them to improve themselves. They can listen on to help them. I think it's so valuable is there, and I personally feel like when I say personal development, personal growth world, there's a lot of principles in there. Be so valuable once it's combined with a problem. Dyslexia. Once it's combined with a problem like dyslexia, I don't mean like a problem like, oh, it's a problem, it's a gift, but a problem that people face of dyslexia, and you imply the principles of it, that basically the principles of life. If you want to have a good life, the principles of what you would use as life, and then match them up with dyslexia, and guess what? You use these principles, you have a bloody strong life, because you would come against so many challenges that you have to use these for them to work, and it'll be so cool. Because this is the way I look at personal development, self-growth, you and me, learning about life. All these are words meaning basically the same thing. But how I describe it is learning how life works. Learning how life works. Because I think of it like this. I remember when I was young, like 16, 17 years old, and I was like in college, sixth form, and I was in quite a down place. And I remember thinking, because I had a lot of time to myself, I want to figure out how life works. I am only living this life, and this is technically the start of my actual life, instead of growing up and stuff. And I was like, well, I actually want to figure out how this life works, instead of going through trial and error, like having certain feelings, listening to the people around me, and just going out there and winging it. Instead of doing that, I can try and figure out how life works. And guess what? We have such a gift. We have the internet, we have YouTube, we have things like that can teach us how we can connect with people like Tony Robbins and other people out there who have spent decades of their own personal experience and decades of studying and redefining how life works, i.e. how to get the most out of life. And people say, oh, I don't want to get the most out of life. I mean, whatever you want. You want to be you're going to be really spiritual, you're going to be really calm, you're going to be really at peace, you want to be really happy, you want to be really successful. Whatever it is, wherever you're on the scale, I just want to be happy. Well, be as happy as possible. Well, I just want to live a peaceful life. Well, work to me living the most peaceful life as possible. Because that's what it is. It's about working out how life works. It's as simple as that. And guess what? There's a path. And if you're just relying on working out how life works through trial and error and the people around you, guess what? That is fundamentally flawed. Because the people around you are kind of just like you. The people around you are kind of just like the same. You'll never experience the beauty of what it is to be a human being if you only stay around the perimeter of around the 1,000 odd people you interact with a day. Then you never experience kind of like the culture of life, the different cultures, the different values about what it is to be a human being. And it's so beautiful, and there's so much contrast in it. And it's not like one symbol, okay, this is a human being and this is how it works. It's so diverse. I remember spending thousands of pounds on these personal development things about understanding about myself and all this stuff. And you know what made the biggest difference? Wasn't any of those seminars, wasn't any of those things. It was travelling, volunteering in a different country. I volunteered in a country called Nepal for 3 months. Nepal is how they call it. For 3 months. For 3 months, and a company called VSO. And basically, what I stayed there in a local house, in a local house with a local Nepalese person, a Nepalese counterpart, and his name was Sanjay, and he could speak he speak quite good English actually, so he could translate for me all the time. And spending 3 months there, living, breathing, eating, sleeping with them, I learned more about human beings, about myself. That was the best personal development place I've ever had. I went over there thinking I would help them. I left there knowing they helped me way more than I could ever help them. Because it made me realise how diverse life is. They don't care about success nearly as much as about being on time, about doing certain things. They're more focused on fulfilment. That's fine, that's beautiful. They have nothing And yet they're so bloody happy all the time. They're so happy. You know why they're happy? Because they don't focus on themselves. They get up and they like you. I remember a podcast. My host person there. Every day he would get up and he would close his hands. He would look towards the sun, and go and say all random words. You know what he was doing? He was praying to the sun. He was praying to the soul. He was praying to everything and saying thank you. And knowing it was one piece of this bigger unit. I know it's some religion, but all the rituals he done and everyone else done had a higher purpose to them, and the higher purpose was to give. To give. And I remember like the happiest woman there by far. She's like this 80-some-year-old woman. So you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, working for everyone else. Go to bed at 9 p.m. Working for everyone else the whole time. So he was so happy because he gave to everyone. He gave to everyone. Like, so he'd get up. I remember I'd get up doing my little workouts, and I could see her cooking the food of the buffalo, a little buffalo, big buffalo actually. Basically boiling the pot for the buffalo to eat, and would boil it so it could cook all the leftover food and stuff. So we'd boil that, and then she would shake some rice out, and she'd do some more stuff and some more stuff. Just do the whole day for other people. She was the happiest person I could ever imagine. I remember, this is when in the house I'm telling all these stories about Nepal now, and I remember on the day we're leaving, there was this woman there, and I never saw this woman. Basically, she was the mum of these kids, and we would always see her around the village. And she was with some this was family that was with some other VSO people that were there. And anyway, we see the kids moving around all the time. And the kids spoke very good English. I was amazed at how well English they spoke compared to other people. And anyway, I never saw the mum, saw the kids multiple times. And the day we were leaving, it was all emotional, there was so many tears. And the woman who was actually at their house had to say goodbye to the mum. I remember I came in there to help some bags or something. And these kids, I remember thinking, these kids, look, they had the worst house I could ever, out there. It was a mud hut, literally made out of mud, with loads of animals everywhere, smelled like poo the whole time. And I was like, how are these kids so happy? How are these kids so joyous all the time? And I remember, just as I was leaving, I knew in an instant why. Why they're so joyous, why they're so happy, why they're so giving. Because the moment I saw their mum, she had tears coming down her face. And you know when you look at someone and go, that's that person. This person is this type of person. I looked at her, I knew in an instant. This mum is absolutely filled up to the brim with unconditional love. I couldn't, you could just feel it. It's not about culture, it's not about this, it's not about race, it's not about this or that. It's just love. Pure, utter love, unconditional love. I was like, that's why these kids are happy. They don't have anything, but yeah, they're so darn happy. Why? Love. This mum loves them, literally. It's not like loving, like, I'll do anything for them. It's just pure give. I can't explain it. I can't articulate it in the right way, but it's just love. And I remember seeing that and getting emotional, thinking, oh my God, this is love. And I remember literally crying on the bus home. And so guys, the only reason I went on a bit of a tangent here, but yeah, so here's a bit about life. But so I think it's really, really crucially important to learn how life works, so you can deal with your dyslexia better. And guess what? If you don't understand if you don't understand certain principles, it doesn't matter what help you have, it won't work. It's not what you have that counts, it's what you do with what you have that counts. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get an idea about what I do and saying the things I say, and I hope it has some value to you during this speak. All right guys, take care and bye.